the angel roll out with a stone in the morning. Oh, Mary, the angel roll out with a stone in the morning. In the morning, the angel roll out with a stone in the morning. Oh, Mary, I am to not betray. Oh, the angel roll out with a stone in the morning. Oh, Angelina, I am to not betray. The angel roll out with a stone in the morning. Oh, Mary, we them not the morning. The angel roll out with a stone in the morning. The angel roll out with a stone in the morning. The angel roll out with a stone in the morning. Pleasant good night, family in Christ. I want to say welcome to another installment of Baptist Building Business. And tonight, we are glad to be back with you guys. We are delighted to be here. We know it's been a little while, but due to church events and other things going on, we had to postpone and rearrange. But we are here tonight with a lovely sister in Christ who is going to share with us her business and what she does in terms of building her own business. So tonight, without any further ado, let me introduce to you our guest who is joining us, Sister Angelina. Pleasant good night, Sister Angie. How are you?
Hi, good night. I'm fine.
Let me give a little history. I've known Sister Angie for a little while. I wouldn't say how long, because that might sell out how old we are. But I've known her for a little while, and she is someone who is very smart. You can see it on her face. You can see the goodness of God beaming through her eyes as well. So she's a grounded person. We also spoke to her brother recently. So, Sister Angie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us your name and what church you attend.
Okay, I'm not sure you're hearing me clearly.
Yes, perfectly.
Hello?
Yeah, we hearing you clearly.
Yeah, you hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think I'm having a little audio issues, but if you're hearing me clearly, fine. Yeah, so introducing myself, I am Angelina Phillip-Lockhart. I have been a spiritual Baptist, I have to say since I was born, right? My mom has been a baptist since I was born.
Ooh, apologies, guys. We have a little technical difficulties. Um, we'll just wait a while we hold on for Sister Angie to come back on. Her net probably dropped off a little bit. So let me just say pleasant good night to those of you in the comments. Pleasant good night to Sister Patricia Alfred. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sister Anne Marie Mendoza, thank you for joining us as well. Hope all is well with you. I want to say pleasant good night as well to Sister Christina, Sister Petra Celestine, Kevin Springer, and I hope that all is well with you all this afternoon. I pray that God continues to bless you guys and keep you. Remember that this program, Baptist Building Business is all about spiritual Baptist business owners who have their own business. So if you know anyone who would like to get a little exposure for the business, they don't have to pay for this opportunity. You can let them, give us a call or send us a message via WhatsApp, and we'll be sure to work with them to give them any additional exposure that we can. Amen. So we have Sister Angie back with us.
Hello.
Yes, Sister Angie, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, you hearing me? I
Yes,
think
I'm hearing
I'm
you. Go
having
ahead.
some connectivity issues right now. Yes, I'm
No
having some
problem.
connectivity issues. So I don't know when I got bumped off. I'm not sure when exactly I got bumped off.
We heard up to your Baptist since you're born.
Right, good. Right. So Baptist since I was born. So I've been a spiritual Baptist for the majority, I could say, of my life. I I like own a business, and that's more part time. So that's Angie's Bakehouse, which I was invited to speak about today. Outside of that, academic wise, I have a degree in sociology, master's degree in sociology, and full time I am in the field of research. So that's about me in a nutshell.
Okay, okay. So do you have a comfortable couch?
Sorry,
Do you have a comfortable couch?
a comfortable couch, you said.
Yeah, because you say you have a
I said
degree.
sociology, not psychology. Sociology, not
All
psychology.
right, all right.
No counseling,
I
no
tried.
counseling.
All right,
Sociology,
right,
yeah.
right. Okay, so how long now,
Yeah.
here, we know that, you own Angie's Bakehouse. So how long now have you been in business in terms of Angie's Bakehouse, and is it actually your first business?
I would say I've been in business. I would come from probably when I got my first order. So that was in 2016. It is my only business. I don't think I could juggle more than one business right now.
Hmm.
But I would say 2016 was when I would count it from the day I took my first order. So that's 2016.
Okay, okay. And what inspired you to get into your own business?
It's an interesting story with that one. I did a couple of courses. Well, I have to start from what drove me to do these courses. I usually would bake as a hobby, just on a weekend, just for fun. And I was trying to bake a sponge cake, and it was a failure. And I didn't understand how I could bake every other cake but a sponge cake. So, because of that one incident, I found myself doing a bread cake and pastry course. So I did that with, the now defunct Trinidad and Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute, which we would know as Hotel School. And then after that, I was like, huh, well, I know how to bake now, so maybe I should learn to decorate. And then I went on to do another short course that was cake decorating one, and then I did the advanced course. And subsequent to that, which was about 2016 or so, I got my first order, which I must say I was very hesitant about because, I mean, as every person who started business would know, you have that kind of hesitation to take any orders from anybody. As much as you're skilled, you're still kind of questioning yourself, or wonder if I could, or wonder if I could. But I kind of pep talk myself like, you do the courses, you know the skill, take the order. And so I took the order, and yeah, that was it from then. And then in 2017, I decided to take it up a notch to kind of upskill and get more training in doing desserts. So kind of go beyond just cake decorating and cake making, and pastry and breads and all of that. So I went to hotel school again, and I did a diploma in baking and pastry arts. So I am a trained pastry chef, more or less. Yeah.
So you're fully certified, fully qualified in
Yes.
sociology and in baking. Okay, cool. What
Yes.
I like about your start is that I feel you have motivated you to go a little further. Some people be good at the complicated stuff, but the simple stuff doesn't always work out. And we just use that sometimes as
Yes.
a reason not to go any further, but you use it as a reason to go much, much further. And I commend you with that. That's very good. Um, so tell us about your spiritual life a little. Um, Now I know I would have met you by Mount Zion in Arima, by Mother Rivers.
Right.
Um, so tell us, a little bit about your spiritual life. When you would have gotten baptized, where you worship
Woo.
now, and
Right.
um, what you like most about being a spiritual Baptist. Oh, before you answer, let me just say pleasant good night to your brother. He's both on YouTube and on Facebook. I don't know how he working that magic, but pleasant good night, Chapel Davian. Yes. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your spiritual life.
Okay, so you would have met me at New Mount Zion, but remember I tell you I've been a Baptist for my
Yeah.
life, more or less.
Right.
So before that,
Hmm.
where was my beginnings? My beginnings would have been at, ooh, wait, yeah, my beginning, my beginnings would have been at Bethlehem Spiritual Baptist Church. That's a church in Rio Claro. When I was going to that church and when I was baptized, the head of the church at that time was the now deceased leader. I call him Leader Johnson.
Hmm.
So I'm from that era, right? And I also went to Garden of Gethsemane, Spiritual Baptist Church. I was in Manzanilla.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
those were two of the earlier churches that I went to before I would have come to New Mount Zion. So in
Right.
my younger years, would have been Bethlehem for years and years, going trekking to Rio Claro to go to church, and Garden of Gethsemane. So that was kind of off and on, but Bethlehem was more, the base church.
Right. Right.
My
Right.
spiritual father would have been Reverend, not Reverend, sorry, I'm keeping on saying Reverend, but it's really Leader Johnson. That's what he was commonly known as, Leader
Hmm.
Johnson. And I would have been baptized when I was 9. So you understand how when I tell you how long is a long time, right? And I would have
Right.
been going to
Right.
church before that, right? So I would have been baptized at 9 years old. And I grew up in a household where you basically church, there is no question about whether or not you're going. Even if you
Hmm.
didn't feel like, church
True.
is just part of your household activity. It's something that you do, you don't question it, you don't ask if you are going, just get ready on a Sunday because it is time to go to church. And you can't feel like you can lie down in your bed. You could be tired. That it's nobody's concern. You have to get up and go to church. That's the kind of household that I grew up in. And over the years, I would have continued going to church. And then as you would have known me from New Mount Zion,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have mourned in New Mount Zion. I cannot remember the year right now that I mourn. It's been a while. But so Mother Vicky would have been my, what do you call that, pointing mother.
Right, right.
And currently, I go to church. I don't even call myself a member, but I do go to church off and on, not all the time, at New Jerusalem, which is the church my brother goes to. So I go there ever so often to church. And my spiritual life has been an interesting one. I've met a lot of people over the years. Some people now deceased. I've learned a lot over the years. Um, I was, some people don't know this, but I was anointed as a teacher in the faith. So that's my calling, if you want to call it that, as a teacher in the faith. So yeah, I still holding strong, still holding the faith, still a spiritual Baptist. I don't think that's going to change any day soon, because it's in me, But
Right, that's right.
just thanking God for the journey and thanking God for keeping me throughout the years, still holding on. Yeah.
Well, that's commendable. Holding on is important, and nobody complied and complain scenario when they see it comes to going to church. I know how that could be as well. Funny thing though, right? So I remember you attended the last function. Well, my other church had, which was St. Crispin's Youth Convention, and I seen you there, and I watching you, and I saying, I don't know what Angela's doing, now, but again, this vibe, she's like a teacher. I wonder if she's teaching in a school too. I know you come tonight to say, that you call it. So, it might be the full time job, but clearly it is there. So, thank God for that as well. So, in terms of you building business now, here, talk about, dealing with that hesitation, because I think it might be a little different for different persons in terms of the type of business. And I know your type of business was edible. Um,
Hmm.
it's a more fickle field to
Yeah.
get into. So how did you deal with the fear or the doubt, the little procrastination, especially in taking that first order to get started?
For me, it really had a lot to do with just the self motivation, to be honest. And I think it's with any type of business, you always have this hesitation, especially when it's a business where you're using a skill. With any business, you'll have the hesitation, but when you're using a skill set, you second guess yourself a lot. Um, and you wonder if what you're doing is good enough, and you want to get perfect before you start, before you put your foot out there, right? Especially for persons who are creatives, and especially for persons in that field where they use their skill to produce something. And well, more so in the culinary world, people taste are very fickle. It changes a lot. So for me, I really had to pep talk myself into saying, Angelina, you went and you did the course. You passed the course, so what's stopping you right now? I remember when the person called me because they actually saw something that I had put up, that I would have completed for my final examination for my cake decorating course, advanced cake decorating, and that is how that order came through. And I took probably about a week before I got back to the person. That is how much I was doubting whether or not I should take this order.
Mhm.
I'm like, and I was going back and forth. I was like, nah, maybe next time. Then I was like, Andrew, so it's like two people sitting on my shoulder like, yeah, go and take it, girl, what's stopping you? And then I'm like, nah, boy. Next thing you know, they give me something and I'm not good at it, and then they complain, and they don't like it, and it's just these things just going back and forth, and then I put on my foot like, okay, take the order, Angelina, take the order. And quite honestly, it really was a learning experience for me, for persons who would have learned a skill and then having to put it to use. They would tell you that the most learning comes when you actually put the skill to use. You can learn a lot of things in class and you can learn a lot of things, but when you actually put your hand in it is when you really learn a lot. And from that first order, I learned a lot about not just the skill part of it, which is decorating the cake, but even the business part about the business part of it, like time management and just knowing how to deal with clients, getting administrative stuff in order. And that was just from that one order. So I would tell anybody, if you are hesitating, just put your foot out there. You don't need to be perfect, even though I myself still struggle with that, having to get everything perfect before I do what I have to do. I still struggle with it. But I would advise anybody to just get your foot out there, and when you start, it's just like a snowball effect. It would just grow. So just get out there, put yourself
So
out
true.
there.
Well, yes, I myself am trying to take that advice daily on multiple fronts because it's the radio station, it's my personal business that I do, which is more that is
Right.
twofold at present. And it's not always easy, especially when you're not sure if you're doing it good enough, and especially when because you are always your biggest critique. So you're always checking and prodding, but keeping moving forward is very essential. Because from time you stop, it does wonder if to go back and all the rest of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So for you, what is your schedule like in terms of because you work full time, right, and business is part time. So
Right.
do you have any scheduling tips or scheduling hiccups when it comes to business and work?
Yes, I have. I have learned so much over the years. um, well, I actually took a hiatus from taking orders from 2020, and I am only just starting back. For persons who would have been ordering from me from before, they ever so often ask me to do it, and I'll just be like, okay. But I took a hiatus from 2020. In addition to the pandemic, there were a lot of changes going on, and that is the next thing that really affects your business and that kind of thing. Changes in your personal life, that in itself affects your schedule, right? So I had a lot of changes. I got married, I changed my space, and then I had a daughter. So, a lot of changes happened for me, and that, it just kind of, from COVID, everything closing down. It just went one into the next, and I really needed to take that time off. And sometimes when you take a step back, it really gives you perspective, so that some of the things that I may have tolerated before, and probably tolerated is the wrong word, but it's the best word I could think about right now. Some of the things that I would have tolerated before, now I can definitively say, I really can't do that, right? So for example, like late orders. I can't, I know for sure I cannot take a late order. You have to give me enough notice because, you know, you have to balance personal life, work life, business life. It's important, work life balance. And, with my daughter, she's a toddler, she's 2 years. So I have to have enough time to prepare myself. In addition to the fact that I have an 8 to 4 job. So my schedule now is one where, getting back into it, because I haven't fully opened yet. I haven't fully opened back yet, but
Hmm.
probably within a month or two, I plan to tell people, okay, fine, I'm open for orders fully. I will only take orders from us that are due Saturday to Monday, because I know how my schedule is now, and I knew there's no way that I could do orders during the week. Prior to 2020, any day during the week, you could catch me for an order and I would be able to complete it for you and stuff. But my life was very different back then, right?
True, true.
Now I have different kind of responsibilities. So of course that would affect my policies and the way that I run my business.
Of course, of course.
So that is my schedule because, some people see, most people know me for cakes. Some people also know I do desserts. I probably may not have done as much desserts that as I would have done cake, but I can do desserts. And some people look at a cake and they would think, it's just like, I tell you today and tomorrow you pop that cake out and, decorations and everything. But what people don't know is that that one cake that you're seeing, sometimes it's a 2-week process in the making because you might want a theme. I might have to go to the store because you want this theme that, I don't just always have it lying around. So I have to go to the store, get probably a cutter, this or that, get a topper ordered. Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
as cakers, we have to outsource stuff,
Right.
and just getting all this stuff together. And, time management, giving me enough notice for time management. That's the next thing. So it's not today for tomorrow. Giving me that time also helps me to focus on creating a wonderful product and not be flustered, right? So I know some people think today for tomorrow, yeah, you pop out a cake. It's not that simple. There are a lot of things. You want flowers, I have to make that how much weeks in advance? It needs to dry. You want the figurine, I have to make that weeks in advance. It has to dry, so time management is a really big thing in business. I can't speak for other creatives, but I want to believe it might be the same across the board. Especially when you're giving up your skill set, you don't really want to be flustered doing it. That is a recipe for disaster. I have experienced it, and I can tell you, every time you do something wrong,
Hmm.
when you're rushed and hustling, yeah.
Yes, I do believe you because even with myself, um, some people think it's easy because it's a live stream. It's easy. Let's pop on the camera and that is it. But
Hmm.
in anything you do, when you want to put out a quality product, it takes a certain amount of research, certain amount of preparation. So you're right. Time management is important, and especially where you have, I want to say, a young family, quote unquote. You know,
Hmm.
baby going to need more time as opposed to if you have a 16-year-old or
Yes.
11-year-old
Yes.
running around on your hand. So, time management is
Hmm.
so. I applaud you for that as well because some people have those challenges as well. Let me say pleasant good night to Archdeacon Kurt, another one who we would have met from back in the days from Youth Rally and stuff. Um, so with all said and done, I know well as you're married, you're running business. How does your husband, let's say, not just help, but how does it impact on the both of you all in terms of it's one thing having a 8 to 4 job and then you come home and it's just family time. But in terms where you now have to balance both business, family time, and even personal time somewhere in between, how does that work out for you all?
Well, I have to, you know, because of, as you said, with family life, that's why I said it's important to give me notice because when I get notice, I have to let everyone in the household know I have an order, right? So that I can put things in place, especially at least for my daughter, and even just having to do things getting ready for this order. I have to let everyone in the household know, which also includes my mother-in-law. Um, let everyone know I have an order coming up, but I will need a little assistance, at least to hold my daughter while I do things and while I prep things. So he has been very supportive in that regard. I know with cake, I especially when I have an order, I am really focused on it so that my focus, I just zone in on, I have this, and the whole week or the whole 2 weeks revolves around this one order, right? But he has been very supportive, and since before he knew that this he know me to be up all night getting cake ready and that kind of thing. So he has
Hmm.
been supportive. Yes, he has been supportive in that regard and in my business. Sometimes he might end up having to help me with delivering the order. Just recently, I had an order to deliver, and I really could not do it because it was such a big order. I really couldn't do it by myself. So, he had to kind of step in and help me get the cakes down the road and that kind of thing. So, that my business now has to revolve around my personal life, right, and my home life, because of course, as much as you have a business, and for me, I have work as well. Family life is also very important, and in most times it will come first before, so that if something is happening home and I really can't take a order, I just can't take a order, right? So that is how much changes I have had to make to my business model. As I said prior to that, you send an order my way, and yeah, fine, I take it. And as time goes along, and over the years, just taking orders, you really do learn from experience, as they say. So there are some things that I know that, I really, I can, you implement business policies. Let me put it that way. You start to implement
Right.
business policies,
True.
and that
True.
comes with experience, because you might know them offhand, like you might hear about them,
Hmm.
but then you start hearing about things that happen to other people, and you're like, nah, to put something in place to prevent that from happening, right? Or you know customers could be, they know what they want, but they're not always concerned about what's going on with you, right? They
True.
know, I want
True.
this and I want it this day,
True.
right? So over the years, I've had to implement different business policies, and as I said, sometimes when you step back from what you're doing, you're able to get a broader perspective. So for me, stepping back, for the time that I have had to step back, I know for sure that, my business model is going to change, the policies that I have is going to change. It helps you to see things better. And then you learn from other cakers, other people who are in the field, who are in the industry, and you put things in place before anything happens, so you kind of try to be proactive in your own business policies. Don't wait for something to happen and then be like, oh, I should have done this, right? So it as I said, my business now revolves around what is happening in my personal life, so that will come first. My family life and stuff will come first, and then that will determine whether or not I can take an order and that kind of thing.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the support, I don't know about anybody else, but I for one agree that support is necessary when running a business, whether it be support from friends or support from family. It is important. Sometimes it's not that they might have an active role, but
Yeah.
support in the sense that if you know I have something to do, you allow me, or help facilitate that environment for me to do what I need to do. So that, I must say, blessings to them for that as well. So that takes me to my next question, because you covered a lot of my questions in your answers so far.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, I think one thing, I've listened to you speak, and you talk about being able to take a step back and analyze and, determine next steps going forward, put stuff in place. So, in that vein, where would you see your business in next, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
Wow. I when I started this business, I had a lot of big goals. I think the goals were too big at the time,
Hmm.
and that's the next thing. Sometimes when you start, you have real big goals, bigger goals than you could reach, you could attain, because it's step by step. Then I say step by step, higher and higher, right? It's the same thing with business, step by step, higher and higher. But I started off with a lot of grand goals until I got into them like, I do really think I could complete all these things I have, So, to answer your question, in the next it's 5 years instead of 10 years, 5 years,
5 to 10 years, yeah.
5 to 10 years, 5 to 10 years. My goal is to really have my business at a place where I I am doing both cakes and desserts. As I said, now I mostly do cakes, but I want to diversify more to do desserts as well.
Mhm.
So that will be a complete package. So that's one of my goals. My long term goal, and I remember the writing this when I was in hotel school, was to own a bistro. That was a real, I had a goal like written down. They said, "What was your goal for your business?" I'm like, I want to own a bistro. The pandemic came though, and we realized how businesses have changed from being a physical store. And I mean, even when you look internationally, you see how many stores, some of the big names have closed down now, more in
Mhm.
favor of online stores. So the thing about business too, it has to kind of change with the tide. And that is a real long term goal. Like I'd probably be on 10 years. But I want my business to grow because I have to be honest, it hasn't grown as much as I would have envisaged it to. But I want my business to grow where I have that many orders, um, that, of course, manageable orders, right? But much more orders than I probably would have had in the past. So I would say that in itself is my 5 to 10 year goal, to have a bigger business. Probably I could hire even if I could hire one person to help me. I
Mhm.
would say two, but one person to help me. I would start with one person to help me. That in itself would be great. But building my clientele, is my first goal. Building a clientele that could appreciate what I put out there,
Mhm.
and diversifying into desserts, and even diversifying. And I remember when I wrote a plan, this was one of the things that I also had, diversifying into providing equipment is not the way, but I will use equipment for now. Equipment for other cakers, so things like stands and things that I know cakers will need when they're putting on their product. That was actually one of the things that I remember writing down many, many years ago, that I wanted to do that. Um, People might want a cake stand. People might want what else do they want? They want those props and all those different things, and being a provider of that to people, so that when they put their product out there, the presentation, and be like, wow,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Okay, wonderful. As I say, you cover a lot of my questions. It way almost all my questions, which is a good thing, because I tell people, some people when they hear interview, they get tense. But as I say, it's just a conversation just between two people. The same thing you'll be telling anybody if they're asking you about anything. Um, so let me just say, give a few shout outs. Pleasant good night to Sister Charlene Scott, to Camille Taylor, and to Sister Philomene Henry Collier. Bless and good night to you all, and blessings to you all. Thank you all for joining us. Here with Sister Angie, as we call her for short, Sister Angelina. Um,
some people don't know my name is Angelina. Some people in church don't know my name is Angelina, because then
because we
everybody
get
know me as
accustomed with
Angie. Yeah,
Angie.
yeah, yeah, sister Angie.
Angie is so much more comfortable,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Angelina, now I started thinking actors, Angelina Jolie, but as I say, it drew a lot of my questions, and it have a lot of things. I hope persons were able to catch some of the information on the inside, even though it would have been one thing into the next. But in terms of your business, because you're not the first person that I've seen making cakes. I don't know a lot of people, but I know one or two. So for you, in terms of what do you think separates you from the other average person in terms of what you bring to the table in terms of your products?
That is a very good question because you are right. There are a lot of people out there who have started, especially during the pandemic,
Mm,
right? And for sure, there were a lot of people who went out there, started doing cakes, started branching off into, something that they would have liked doing. For me, I would say what would separate me, one, is my quality. Quality, getting quality with me, right? Because I come for the trade, right?
mm,
I went ahead and kind of took that extra step. So the quality of the product that I put out there, I would say I put a lot of myself into what I produce. And I know for the other interviews that you may have had and would have in the future, people who put their being into something, they can tell you it takes a lot out of you, especially when you're putting yourself. Because it's like you're putting, I didn't want to say putting your soul, but I'll put it that way in layman's terms. You're putting your soul into a product, and because you know that people are looking to you, especially with cakes, it's a celebration. Most times when people order cake, it's a celebration. So they're looking for something. They're looking for that thing when they light it up and people blowing out the cake is like, Um, but yeah, so quality for sure. And the looks of my cake, I have tried, or I shouldn't say I've tried, over the time, even after I went to hotel school, I still went on to do another course with a chef called Chef Paul, based in South, pastry class of TNT. I went on to do a course again to make the looks of my cake a little bit more modern. So it'll be quality as well as the look. So you would get good quality and then it's a more modern take on the usual stuff. So there are things people might put out, but in my cakes might be the same theme but with a different spin on it. Something a little bit more modern. And with every industry, you have to keep up with the trends. And cake in industry is one of those. Cakes and desserts, it changes. You could think this month in June, July, and next trend come out. So I am constantly trying to as well keep up with the trends and incorporate it as well into the products that I put out there. Right. It might not be everybody taste, but I can guarantee you the quality of the product that I put out there is above board. Above board.
well, from going through your catalog of items and products, I can say that it is top tier quality, especially when I look back to just about, well, this year would make it 11 years now. For example, when I got married, the quality of cake that we would have had in our wedding, as opposed to what you see now, what people have on offer now,
Different. It's
it's a
different. It's
definitely
different.
a higher quality
Yeah.
in terms of what is being produced. And you are right as well, we always, persons who love what they do, put a little bit of themselves into what they do. It's what helps differentiate your stuff from the next person's stuff. So we have a few comments in the comment section. Let me just highlight. So we have Miss Phillip joining us over on YouTube. And she says, for sure, she delivers quality. So we know Miss Phillip eat a cake or two already. Um, we have Miss Adele Joseph, if I believe correctly. This is your sister-in-law, right?
Yes, yes. She's still eating her wedding cake. That's in 2016. She's still eating cake.
All I saying is, you can pass and drop off some. You know where I live, so you can drop some wedding cake over here.
I don't
Uh,
even know how she get a cake to last so long. I don't know.
and well, obvious, and bro here saying you're getting good thing. In no proper English, you're getting good thing, rich
You know,
cake.
he just get through because if it have a little thing, I'll be like, piece of cake for you. A piece of cake for
You get little
you.
free samples. All
Yeah,
right, all right.
yeah, yeah.
So just to give those who are viewing a little idea of what we're talking about, we have a few items from Sister Angie's catalog that we will share with you now so you guys could have an idea. And before we get into that, actually, let me give you the opportunity where you could tell persons where they can find you and view your stuff so they can
Okay.
go through for themselves as well.
Right. So I am on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm I'm on Instagram and Facebook because I said I would have taken a hiatus so that you would see some things and you mightn't see things have been posted in a while. I'm only, for those of you who may have come in late, I'm only now starting resuming my business. And when you listen back, you will hear why. But my handle is both Angie's Bakehouse, ANGIES Bakehouse, BAKEHOUSE, one word, right? So it's both on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, cool. So Instagram, Facebook, you all can find her there, Angie's Bakehouse. And we have Krista
Hi.
Christina.
Hi.
Right. So just to give you guys a little idea of what Sister Angie has to offer, I try to condense as much as I could so that so we have everything for all ages. So you see it
Right.
there, we have the
Peppa Pig.
children's cakes,
Yes.
your Peppa Pig, your Eton, and it's themed as well. So
Right.
and the firehouse. Question, right? When making these cakes that are not the typical shape,
Ooh.
how much longer does it take as opposed to a circular cake or a rectangular cake?
I am glad you asked that question. This could take a 2 to 3 hours more than the regular cake because it's an extra step because I have to carve out the shape and then base, that base coating and then cover it. And then you have all those tiny details, which I would have had to cut by hand. And yeah, so you can look at it at 2 to 3 as a, even though it looking like, oh, it's a nice little fire truck, that could take 2 to 3 hours extra because
Yeah, well,
you have to have the right support, everything. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, well, just you have the ladder on the fire truck, you have the
All
lights
right,
on the fire truck, you
all
have
right,
the doors on the side where you have your little equipment
all
stored. That is
right.
a lot of detail.
Yes.
Um, I don't know. Her sister Cameron say, she like she loved the fire truck. And I say that's a lot of detail
Yes,
in
it
terms of
is.
because it has that it's not fully realistic, but it looks real, but the detail is there.
Yes, and
So
the detail does give it gives it a little a little extra something. And even with the Peppa Pig cake, all of those figures that you see in the three characters, I would have had to cut all of that by hand. The sun I would have
hmm,
had to make by hand.
Jesus.
The number I would have had to make by hand. And I right now in the industry we have the edible images and that kind of thing, but there is just something about cutting it by hand, the look of it, it takes more time, right? And of course, it depends on what the client wants, their budget, what they're able to work with, because cutting this by hand takes more time, right? Which is more labor. But there is just something about the look of it when you cut it by hand. I might sound like a purist, but there's just something about that look, that edible image. They just don't quite get into the edible image,
Hmm.
you just a little
No,
extra something there.
I'm I little extra simple. So typically you would not find me ordering any cakes that look like this. I like my regular old sponge cake.
Sponge cake.
I'm a chocolate cake. Yeah.
But funny enough, as much as I know to make all the cakes, my favorite cake still remains a sponge cake. A good old sponge cake with some frosting on it. Favorite cake, favorite flavor, simple.
So now these are. Let me see if I can change the view a little bit so persons will get an even more accurate view of this. So these are. How would you describe these cakes, especially like the horse?
Right. So they're all, no, actually two of them. That's the horse and the mini. They're both buttercream cakes.
Mm-hmm.
And the one with the rabbit with the flower, that is a ganache cake, right? and you would see the difference in the look of these three cakes. I'm sure you see the difference in the look from the last three. So you
Mm-hmm.
could see this is a different time, right? This is
Correct.
more, this is
Correct.
recently, right? The three before was before in the earlier years, right? And
Mm.
this is recently. So you could see
Okay.
that, the look of the cake has changed somewhat. Remember I told you, the look is more, you get a kind of modern feel to the cakes that I do now. Um, but yeah, so two of them buttercream, one the last one is ganache. And the those two, the horse and the mini, they would be considered a buttercream cake with fondant accents, because the horse is actually, that's actually cut out a fondant, and then I would have hand painted it, and then I would have added all the rice paper and the wafer paper and the thing we call crinoline, right? As in the cake and feel. Cake as in what I'm talking about. And the mini is that's actually an edible image I used. And you have the bow on top is actually wafer paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most things are edible except for I have some decorative balls, which you might see so well in this picture, but everything is edible on
That would
the
be
on
the
the cake.
bottom right hand corner there, sir.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And then the ganache, well, that is hand painted. I hand painted that one as well. And the flour is made by hand as well. And that's ganache. That's a little different flavor. Most of my cakes now, I'm not quite doing fondant, just I'm starting back doing fondant. So recent cakes I would have done more buttercream.
Mm.
Um, and usually what I do, and this is just getting into the nitty gritty, but I usually have a base coat of ganache under that and then the buttercream over it. So you kind of get that two flavors in your mouth when you bite into the cake.
Okay.
Creaminess of that ganache and then that buttercream yumminess, and then your cake underneath, of course, with your filling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest, right? Now, even though you would know what you would have done from the
Yeah.
beginning as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to what you do it now in terms of quality, I would. However, to me, as much as there's that you would notice the difference in quality, I was just taken aback by the different type because the first type have TV show look,
Yeah.
whereas this type, these three have a more artistic look. And
Yeah.
what I would add, as I said, that is that, here it is, your family would have at least two artists because your brother is an artist who
Mm-hmm.
does the drawings and the paintings, but you are doing edible artistry where
Artistry,
people
yes.
are able to eat the good looking stuff.
Yes, and it's a good point you make, because people see cake makers, dessert makers as just they're just making cake, but it's actually a form of art. And when you look at the cakes that are out there now, even internationally, I mean, people are hand painting whole murals. I would call it a mural on a cake by hand. They just sit down painting with the edible, was the edible paint and all of that. So it's an art form. People use the inspiration that people are getting now to produce cakes and desserts. They get an inspiration from nature, they get an inspiration from sculpting, they get an inspiration from paintings. So it really is an art form, and baking is a science.
True.
So it's a combination of science and art.
And for anyone who isn't sure what we're speaking about, if you check the Food Network, there are some cake shows there where you have cakes that are the size of human beings.
Yes.
So believe her when she tells you it's not a bed of roses as we just claim it is. I look as simple sometimes, but it's not as simple as it looks at times. So we next have these three.
Right.
Let me
Okay.
make them a little larger as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
So yes, so the first one on the left, I told you, inspiration comes from everywhere. So I actually was following these people who do paper work, like work with paper.
mhm,
Judith and Rolf, I think those are the artists. And I saw this thing that they did with paper. They actually cut the paper and make these patterns. And so that was my inspiration for this first cake there, right? So I sat down and individually cut the wafer paper and then stuck them on to get that kind of pattern. At a certain angle, it looks a different way. So if you do it at a diagonal, I didn't take the picture at a diagonal, but if it was taken as a diagonal, you would see a whole different look to the image. The second one is actually buttercream, and that's stenciled buttercream. And you have
Mhm.
a little rice paper there, you have a little wafer paper there, so everything on that is edible. The last one is also buttercream, you have wafer, and you have the stenciling as well. So they're all, the first one is fondant. So fondant and two buttercreams.
Okay.
Right.
And we have the flowers.
All right, and we have the flowers. The first one has the sugar flowers. The second one has wafer paper flowers.
Hmm.
They are both buttercream. The one in the left is actually a diabetic cake. Remember, I told you I went on to do further courses. So one of the
Right.
courses that I did as well was a course for making diabetic desserts. So
Just how
yeah,
do you make the base of cake is egg and sugar. How do you
right,
make
and
a
flour.
diabetic cake?
Well, remember, it tastes just as good. It's just that you use replacers. So you wouldn't use your regular white flour. You would use bleached flour, for
Hmm.
example, right? Cakes that are suitable, flour that is suitable for diabetics. You wouldn't use your regular brown, not brown sugar, sorry, granulated sugar. You would use erythritol, something they call erythritol. It has stevia as well. So you kind of change what you use. And you would also, even with the flour, you might find yourself using almond flour, like more natural types of flour rather than the white flour, which
Process.
is high in carbohydrates. Yeah. So you wouldn't really raise people's glycemic um,
Okay,
index.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So
it tastes
guys,
just as good. Yeah.
you can get your diabetic cakes as well. So don't feel because you're diabetic you can't enjoy some of the good stuff, right? So, um, now this one you have well, I'm guessing that the cakes on the two end are the same cake
They're the
but
same.
a different view, right?
Yes, they're the same cakes, different view. That was actually cakes that was a two-tier cake I did recently. And this is one of those times where I really didn't get a good picture. Um, which is probably something I didn't mention as well, when you
Mm-hmm.
have a business, it's about investing in hardware. And so yeah, cake is one thing I tell people, but a caker is a wire bender as well. We make sugar flowers. And then you have to take good photos because you have to market yourself out there. So you have to get equipment for that. You have to give time, before you deliver your order to get a good picture. And this was one of those times when I really didn't have time to get a good picture. If I did, though, you really would have seen the beauty of that seashell cake.
Mm-hmm.
And then the middle one is it's a SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob SquarePants. And once again, I would have cut all of those little figures by hand. I remember the night I was sitting down there cutting those things by hand. So yeah, yeah.
And well, next we have
Right. So the one on the left is buttercream. So sort of abstract look as you could see, and a
mhm,
watercolor look. Um, I don't like to use the word simple when it comes to a product, but it's a simpler design.
mhm.
um, every caker would know you say simple and then just doesn't end up being as simple as you thought. And then the second one is actually a fondant cake with those are fresh flowers on the top and ganache, gold ganache. And then, well, you have the diabetic cake at the top there again.
Okay, okay.
Oh,
Now this
right.
one was definitely unusual.
Yes. So the left was my birthday cake. Yes, I make my own birthday cake. It allows me the opportunity to experiment.
I have one question. Seeing that you
Yes.
made your own birthday cake, did husband pay for it?
No. No, I mean, I don't know the cake. But I try every year to do it because it allows me to experiment with techniques and different things that I might not be able to otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And Kicking is not just about the order as well. In between, we're out here experimenting, trying new things, making sure you try it before you do it, especially when you're not 100% sure. You have to do it before you actually do somebody's order. Somebody's order is not the guinea pig, right? So that's my birthday cake on your left. That's a square cake. And I just want to say square cake also takes more time. I just must throw that out there. It takes more
Mm-hmm.
time, right? And then the right was actually my husband's Father's Day cake. Father's Day, I think. Either Father's Day or birthday, one of them. The cake, yes. And that's all chocolate, all ganache. That was a chocolatey chocolate cake.
Okay, okay. So next we have the wedding cake
Right.
and the
So,
spread.
and that cake actually is not a wedding cake. Yeah? That cake was actually done for somebody's Thanksgiving. Yes, that's one of my clients. She
Mm-hmm.
wanted a cake. She was very specific, and I think I did exceed her expectations. She told me what she wanted, but I didn't think she expected to get this at the end, right? So that actually is a Thanksgiving cake. All white
Okay.
flowers. It's a as you said, it's a classic wedding look. If you want elegance in your wedding, it could be just like that, no frills, trills, and you just put those beautiful roses on there, and yeah. The right is actually my baby shower. As I
Mm.
said, I make my own cake for my own events too, right?
Right, right.
Right.
Got to
So
support local, right?
right. So I actually did this dessert. So this particular, you would actually see some particular of the desserts there. So
Mm.
you would have had the cheesecake shooters, the coconut panna cotta, the orange brulee tart, and the cake, of course, would have been the highlight, the teddy bear theme cake.
Hmm. And well, we
Right,
have
we have
the
SpongeBob. The cake on the right, I remember this cake really well. This was actually I had so much fun making this one. This was for one of my clients. It was her son's birthday. And sometimes a client comes with a picture, and I always tell them, when I give you something, it's not that I'm not giving you what you want, but you won't get it exactly like the picture. You will get maybe a little extra thrown in there. And
mm.
sometimes it's hard to replicate something ABC, just how you see it. It's hard to replicate something as somebody makes exact color, exact everything.
True, true.
So I would get the general idea of what you want, and you can give me a pictures for inspiration, and then I might throw in some extra things. So there were some extra things on this cake that she did not see coming. But I really enjoy making this cake. Really, really enjoy that one.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, and let me go back full screen for this one. For this one is one of my favorites.
Which one is that? Oh, this was actually this was me just doing a cake. It wasn't for any clients. As I said, sometimes as kickers, we want to do some themes that somebody might know order. You just want to try something, just do it on your own, right?
Right.
Experiment. And I remember it was around emancipation time, and the inspiration for this cake came from a number of places. Some pictures I saw, so that would have been the drum beating thing in the bottom, and then I saw a piece of cloth, and it had that pattern on it, so that was the second tier.
Right.
And then the one at the top of the mask, I remember I was driving. I can't remember what the Emancipation yet was, and they had these flags up with that symbol at the top. And so I
Mm-hmm.
went and I did research. And we also do research as well. You give us a theme and we sit down there doing research for hours. So I did some research on what was the meaning of the theme. Meaning of the symbol, and it actually meant forgiveness. And I hope I remember that correctly. I believe it was forgiveness. So I went about doing a mask, and I sat down and I piped everything, and yeah, this was just a cake for fun. It wasn't for a client. It was just for fun. Just wanted to do something different, and this was the end result.
Yes, I know a friend of mine who will probably like this particular cake. I know she likes the African stuff.
African theme.
Excuse me. So yes, now we have one important question that somebody asked the WhatsApp me to find out. So what somebody was asking, which is a very pertinent question, what is the cost of the cakes?
What is it? I can give you a starting course
Mhm.
because cakes are customized, and because it all depends on your theme, it depends on what you're adding, it depends on your size, it depends on the shape, it depends on the flavor. My 8-inch cakes, well, actually, let me start with my 6-inch cakes. 6 inches. My 6-inch cakes starts at $600, and that depends on many things that starting cost is at.
Right.
And I'm just being transparent out there. Ingredients have gone up considerably. I was able to do a comparison of the cost of the ingredients from 2020 to now, and I can tell you ingredients have has gone up considerably. But what a lot of clients don't know is that ingredient is the least of the cost. The other cost comes from the decorating items. You see those decorating, the things that you have to do to finish the cake, they drive up the cost. The packaging, because I give you a cake with boxed package completed already, right? So I just hand it to you and you just put it on your table. So my 6-inch cakes start at $600, and that is buttercream, right? Right now, as I said, I'm only doing buttercream because of space and that kind of thing. Fondant requires a little bit more space, requires a lot of, it's a different thing with fondant.
Mhm.
So right now, I'm not taking any fondant orders, right? So that is the costing, as I, I said. I have certain clients. I know not everybody is like,
Mhm.
it's only egg flour and it's only eggs and flour and milk. But it's a lot. I know some people are like that. As I said, over the years, I've learned a lot, and I've learned to accept that not everyone would be on board with that, and I have learned to accept it. Before, it used to be like, but I don't understand why people don't see how much things going into this, but I've learned to accept that this is just how it is, right? So that's 6 inches, and that is usually the smallest cake I do. I usually don't go unless I have a special or I have an offer. My
Mhm.
smallest is at 6, and I always, going into an order, I would advise you on what's best. I would work with you to see how we can get around what you want, your team. So it's a process. It's not just an impersonal thing. It's a process,
Oh,
right?
and
Yeah.
what's the largest that you have made so far?
The largest I've made, and I'm telling you, I'm not making that again. The largest that I ever did was a 14-inch cake, and that was part of a 5 tiers, 5 tier or 7 tier. And I am not doing that again. I am not doing that again. That
Well,
I,
experience, eh? If it is
experience. If I have a big bakery and a big
Mhm.
oven and thing, fine, no problem. But on the scale that I am now, 14 inches is just, I can handle it. It's not that I can't
Mhm.
decorate it and stuff, but it's just so much more because I don't have the resources. I don't have, like, I'm not working in a big kitchen with a big oven and that kind of thing. You need that kind of equipment and resources to really push out that kind of size of cake. I
Well,
did it once, so I
understood,
learned from experience. I learned.
understood, understood. So let me just give a few shout outs. Pleasant good night to Sister Candice Riley, pleasant good night to Sister Marcia Gibbons, Anne Marie G, Avenel Franklin, Helen Martin, Kurt Adams, Petra Celestine. I just want to say thank you all for joining, and even those who watching incognito, Sister Cleo Sylvester, to all of those who tuned in tonight, we want to say thank you for joining in. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing the stream. Remember, we are streaming both on live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. So you can view it on any of the platforms. If somebody not on Facebook, you can still send them the YouTube link and they'll be able to see and enjoy. So as we wrap up, I just wanna give Sister Angie the opportunity to let you all know how you can contact her to place your orders for your cakes and your desserts, because she said it's not just cakes
Yes.
alone, she does desserts as
It
well.
is, right?
So, Sister Angie,
Well, I primarily email, and from there the contact might change, but initially I start with email. It's more reliable. Angie's Bakehouse at gmail.com.
so you hear that,
That
guys? Angie Bakehouse at
Bakehouse, yeah.
gmail.com.
Angie's, no apostrophe, just ANGIES BAKEHOUSE at gmail.com.
Let me just put that up on screen so everybody could see. So, guys, if you want to place your order, Angie's Bakehouse at gmail.com, feel free to contact Sister Angie. Let her know what you're interested in getting. And as we see, she is not limited in her skill set. So, if you want something for the children, something for the wedding, we didn't even see a wedding cake. We just saw a cake that looked like a wedding cake. So you know the
Yes,
wedding
I look
cake
like a wedding.
even more
I
spectacular.
think I forgot to send you the picture of my wedding cake because I did my wedding
Guys,
cake as well. I forgot to send you
so
that picture.
it's well versed. And as we saw from the last one, and let me just share that last one again, you know, she has she has the skills. So you need not worry, you need not fret. You're in good hands with Sister Angie. She's going to take care of you, whatever your order may be. So once again, but before we close, let me just give you the opportunity, Sister Angie. Anybody you like to shout out tonight before we close?
Well, my brother, sister-in-law who on the feed. I think my brother-in-law joined as well as Cornelia Lockhart.
Mhm.
My husband, Calvin Lockhart. Um, yeah, and for all those persons who joined tonight, thank you as well. Thank you.
Nice, nice. So, guys, we want to say thank you for joining us this afternoon, tonight. Sorry, I know we started a little late. I know it's been a while as well, but as Sister Angie said, these things take a little work behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
I just want to say thank God for the opportunity to be able to talk to Sister Angie and give the little assistance and the little exposure in where I could, because as you know, guys, that is my thing here with Spiritual Uplift Radio. As much as possible is to help as many people as I can in any little way that I can, as long as God gives me the ability to do so. As she said, it's not always cost effective sometimes because the cost is not cheap, but we do it not because for the money or for the likes, but because we love what it is we do. So, I just want to thank Sister Angie for joining us tonight. I want to thank all our viewers. Um, Please note we do have some additional programs coming, and you all can look out for that in the near future. So, with that being said, I want to say thank you to everyone, and thank you again, Sister Angie. And have a pleasant good night, guys. And may God continue to bless and
Good
keep you
night.
all in no other name but in Jesus' almighty name.
Good
So
night,
as we close,
everyone.
I must play our 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 little team song, Undaunted. So, as much as you do whatever in business, don't let anything have you
Keep you
daunted,
back.
you know what I mean? But in Jesus' almighty name.
are sinful, time waits for no man, for we are going home. And the Lord shall call me in the time appointed, time waits for no man, for we are going home. Time waits for no man, for the days are sinful. Time waits for no man, for we are going home. And the Lord shall call me in the time appointed. Time waits for no man, for we are going home.